of the collapse. Now, what are they talking about here? They're talking about rioting. Are they talking about food rioting? Well, we could put that on the list of possibilities, as I spoke with you just a few minutes ago about, I wonder, as I looked at this receipt, as I spoke about earlier in the show, where they're saying a warning right out of a mainstream multi-state grocery store talking about the food that they sold to us, most likely, or is contaminated with these specific dates on it, and to give it back. And one of the things that went through my mind is, what is the average ignorant American doing when they look at this? Do they have a clue what's going on here? And my mind tells me probably not. Okay, but that was number 3, the possibility of a civil war inside the United States as a result of the collapse. Now remember, folks, they are telling this to our congressional members, and there was a very few of them, who were shocked, horrified, furious, and concerned enough, which means they had conscience enough to leak this story. But listen to number 4. Number 4, the advance, and I emphasize advance, roundups of insurgent U.S. citizens that are likely to move against the government. Now, what does that mean? Likely to move against the government. How do they define move? Are they talking about taking up arms? I wonder. Are they talking about moving by intellect, vocalizing our dissent towards their policies? What specifically are they talking about when they say likely to move? And then, of course, number 5, it goes on to say the detention of those rounded up at the Rex 84 camps constructed throughout the United States. That's number 5. Number 6, the possibility of public retaliation against members of Congress for the collapses. Well, now let me... Now this is, and I want to emphasize, if I were to move against the government for a collapse of our economy, for public retaliation against members of Congress for the collapse, and I want to emphasize it. You know who would be in my sights for something like that? If I were. I'm not going to, folks. I want to clarify. But if I were, Nancy Pelosi would be right there on the top, because I remember her campaigning for her position, her congressional seat back in early 2006, talking about George Bush. He needs to be impeached. We need to stop this Iraq war. And once she got elected, all that was off the table. And yet we've had the one, Congressman Dennis Kucinich, who's put forth these impeachment articles both towards Cheney and Bush, and Nancy Pelosi has swept him under the rug. Can you say bought off and compromised? I can. Let's see, that was number 6, I believe. Okay. The location. Now they're telling our Congress critters about the location of safe facilities for members of Congress and their families to reside during this massive civil unrest. So they're giving them a place to go. They're telling them that there's going to be the possibility of public retaliation against members of Congress for the collapses, and they're giving them the location of safe facilities for members of Congress and their families to reside during this massive civil unrest. And of course, then they go on to tell them the necessary and unavoidable merger of the United States with Canada and Mexico, establishing the North American Union. See, so this is their solution. Remember, problem, reaction, solutions. Let's see, what is it? Let's see, it's thesis, antithesis, synthesis. And then, of course, they go on to say, and they notify Congress of the issuance of a new currency called the Amero for all 3 nations as an economic solution. And I'll go on, I'll even go farther than this and to say, they can call it the Amero, they can call it the doo-doo, they can call it the cop, they can call it whatever they want. But I'm going to go on to say that we're not going to be able to physically feel it, hold it, touch it, drive it down the road, hold it in our hands. We're not going to be able to put it in our piggy banks or anything, folks. I believe that they will institute what they have been trying to do for a long time, which is indeed the cashless society. And if you don't want to play ball, they're just going to turn off your chip, or they're going to put a little red flag against you in their computer system, and you will not exist anymore. That's my prediction. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Okay. Now, going on, except for you guys, okay, A few 100,000 U.S. patriots. Most Americans have no clue what has really been going on within the United States for over the past 100 years. And the sad thing is that most do not want to know. They don't want to know the truth, okay? How many of you out there have gone out and tried to tell somebody the truth, and you get very passionate, and you get frustrated with these people because you see that glaze come over their eyes, and then you want to turn around and talk about the latest touchdown in football, or the latest grand slam in baseball, or that slam dunk in basketball. But they don't want to deal with this. They don't want to know the truth. It's easier for them to live in denial, and that's why I say, and I call this Twilight Zone many places, and I've gone over this in my head, and I've thought about, okay, if I were now a dumbed-down American, and I'm out here being the awakened American now, trying to wake up a dumbed-down American, I'm welcoming them to my nightmare of which I can never awake. What a dilemma to be